Hello. This is a pre-recorded live stream as part of the Teacher on the Radio program. We're actually on 88.5 FM WTTU in Cookeville, Tennessee, the Tennessee Tech student radio station. They've allowed a teacher up in the booth for more than 15 years. And all through my time on this radio show, I've always had a social justice theme. When there's issues to the day, I bring them up. As a matter of fact, I think our guest right now has been on the show before when it was Black History Month in a season past. And so this is the first weekend of February. It's the first Saturday of Black History Month. And sadly, we had some bad things happen in our community, and we want to speak truth to power. We want to speak hope to a situation that seems kind of scary. So I'm going to introduce my guest, and then he's just going to tell you what's going on in Cookeville and what's going on when this airs on the radio. It should be Saturday, the 4th of February. We're pre-recording it on Thursday, February the 2nd. He'll tell you exactly what's going on over there in the historic Black neighborhood of Cookeville, Tennessee, called the West End. It's very near my home, so it's very near to my heart. I'm Andrew Smith. My guest today is Tom Savage. Tom Savage is the president of the NAACP for Cookeville, Putnam County. He's a retired organizer for the United Auto Workers. And so I dare say not only is he my friend, he is my brother. He's my union brother because we're both union men. He's also my brother in Christ. We both believe in the God that was revealed in Jesus and the weapon of love that he has given us to place for a time such as this. So welcome to Teacher on the Radio, Tom Savage.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me here today. You mentioned that the second day of Black History Month, and it should be Black History every day. But also, this is post MLK Day. So it's a fine time to lift up the Black community and to advocate for the Black community, and not only advocate for the Black community, but to unify the Black community, to educate the Black community on issues in the Black community that will help us have a better day. And the NAACP, we are the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and that means all people. So we look to find common ground with everybody, regardless of your color of skin or whether you came across the Rio Grande and got here, rather if it was Ellis Island is how you got here. We care about Black and brown and the disenfranchised, regardless of whether you're slim or heavy or short or tall or who you love. We're here for each and every one. They're all God's people, and as you say, I am a believer, and the God is love. So when in doubt, love. And the thing about love is, if you proclaim that you love everybody, God challenges your love. He'll say, love this. He'll say to me, Thomas Savage, do you love the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan?
That's a hard one. I know that's a hard one.
That's a hard one, but that's a challenge. And he would say to Andrew Smith, do you love that guy that says that you are a white devil? Do you love Louis Farrakhan? God challenges our love. And so even though I may not be there, but I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. But anyway,
why don't you break it down for us now? How this exact issue that you just reckoned with? You mentioned the KKK. We had a KKK similar situation just a few days ago, right in the heart of Cookeville. So tell us what happened in your own way, from your perspective. What happened, and what are we doing about it?
Yes, to catch everybody up, all of the attention with the hate groups that marched up and down that were in our town. They were at at Ralph's Donut Shop across the street from the Hicks place, and they were protesting a drag show, uh, basically 18 and over, karaoke type thing. It's what I heard from the inside, and so there were people there. Uh, the hate group, there was Antifa on one side, and Proud Boys, which is the largest, fastest growing hate group organization in the United States of America. They have surpassed the Ku Klux Klan. And there was neo Nazis, and there was just a diverse group of hate groups there. And along holding their shirt tails or coat tails were actually religious leaders, which is very disappointing. I would have found myself clearly on some other place instead of being near those folk. But anyway, everybody, all the attention is based on that spot. But a lot of people, it seems like in the community, did not know how they got there. And so they assembled in the African American section of West End in Cookeville, Tennessee. They assembled on grounds that to black folks is basically hollowed ground, a historical location, which was the location is labeled as in the state of Tennessee as a historic site. Darwin High School, which was an old Rosenwald school that was built there many, many years ago, that it burned down in 1963. But it's still the fond memory of the black school at that location. There's several parking spaces there at that location. The Proud Boys and neo Nazis and all of those groups, I'm putting them all together. I say they was all there, filled up that whole entire parking spot. And then as they covered their license plates, they put tape on them, and some of them actually were able to remove their license plates. And then they marched out of that parking lot and entered onto this street called Columbia. And it goes straight uphill. And at the top of the hill, I assume they got their bearings straight, and they're saying, "Hey, fellas, this is what we got to do as organizers, Andrew. We decide which route we're taking." And so they were using that same fundamental. And then they proceeded to do their intimidation walk out of that community. They crossed Spring Street, and then they made their way to Broad Street. Then, of course, they made their way up to Ralph's Donut Shop. And so that's what happened that day. And I think what a lot of people did not see or are not considering is uh, how that traumatized that whole neighborhood. When you see the video, and then you know that in your community that those folks are there, it really desecrated that community. And also, this is what bothers me more than anything. There's a historical church that was having church that day. You know, Dr. King said the most segregated hour in America
is
is the
11
11 o'clock
o'clock on
hour.
Sunday
Yeah,
morning.
on
Tell us about
Sunday.
it. Tell us about it.
Yes.
Yes.
So while they got the news that this was going down, and it's so sad that that church went into lockdown.
But
They went into lockdown.
we have seen these hate groups walk in to African American worship services, like in Charleston, South Carolina, at a Bible study. We've seen this kind of hatred take the lives of worshiping folk in multiple houses of worship, multiple schools, multiple restaurants and bars and nightclubs. It's been a reign of terror, of white supremacist terror across this land for the last several years. So of course they went into lockdown, unfortunately. So some folk in the neighborhood that is, and a lot of people live in Cookeville don't know that we have historically African-American neighborhood that is called the West End, where it's located, that there's several churches and several small businesses and several homes of Black leaders, members of our community with great lineage in this community, former Tennessee Tech students and student athletes, folks with a great, debt and a great profile in this community. That's where you all have your Juneteenth activities every year. So for that organization, do you think that they just researched it and like they just knew we're going to really mess with some folks' heads by starting our march there? Because these people, they don't just hate the LGBT community; they hate Jewish people, they hate African American people. This is a historically a situation that we've seen in previous iterations of hate groups in this United States, and what it's on the rise. So somebody told you that this happened that morning, and
Oh yeah, I don't take this lightly, so I wouldn't even say this if I did not have witnesses to this. So there are witnesses to them packing the parking lot. But my greatest witness is our NAACP member that we just honored the same night that we honored you and your mom, David Meek, who is the pastor of the McClellan Avenue Church of Christ. He had the mindset to go into lockdown, to expect the unexpected. Anymore, you have to be vigilant and expect the unexpected. So to protect his flock, he did the right thing. He went into lockdown, and I'm sure that he called some more people to let them know they were communicating with people outside of the church also.
well, so now you've released a statement basically telling the story that you just said, and you had some very strong language for the rest of Cookeville that seems to not even know about this. And then you've organized a vigil, and now this is 2 days from today, Saturday, when I'm pre-recording this. But if you're hearing this on live radio on Saturday morning, this is going to be happening today. Why don't you tell us about the vigil that the Cookeville Putnam County NAACP has organized for Saturday, February the 4th at 12 o'clock?
Well, you and I we were talking, and there's you love music, and I do too. And so we decided that we would, this is you and I, we decided that we would name this meeting Love is in Need of Love Today, song Stevie Wonder. But anyway, and love is in need of love today because hate is really on the upswing. And these hate groups, they have perfected, they're like poetry in motion. And so they're hating well, and but love can stamp it out. So we're having a meeting. We're going to like trace our tracks. The church that went into lockdown, we're going to have a rally and prayer vigil at that particular church to have certain prayers that would be necessary for our nation, to a beloved community prayer. And so we will be there at noon this Saturday. And we actually have invited Black pastors. Most of the time, we really try to have diverse meetings. And this meeting is going to be diverse, but those that have been affected is the Black community. And so we will have Black pastors speaking that day, or someone standing in for a pastor at a particular church. The churches that are involved will be the Kanos Church, and we've invited Dr. Robert Owens, a very respected professor and pastor here in Cookeville. We've invited Pastor Diantha McLeod, who is the pastor of a pastor at a Methodist church here in Cookeville and Sparta. And of course, yours truly, David Meek, the pastor at McClellan Avenue Church of Christ. We've asked a representative from Trinity Missionary Baptist Church, which is really right down the street from McClellan Avenue Church of Christ, to also speak. And, we have invited leadership in the Putnam County area. We've invited the sheriff, the county sheriff. You know, his jurisdiction saturates the whole county. You know, even if it's at Tater Hill or Possum Holler, he's still the sheriff of Putnam County. And we have invited our city chief of police, Randy Evans. The NAACP really, we want to make sure that we have a relationship with law enforcement. And so we're working hard on that. We have invited our mayor, who is, she's from the state of Mississippi. And she went to Ole Miss, and she understands the civil rights movement. It's been quite impressive with conversation that I've had with her. And our county mayor, Mayor Randy Porter, who is a member, and you know, these folk, we want to make sure that people understand the First Amendment. Andrew, Black folks would not be free if we had not made full use of the First Amendment. So all that we did working in the First Amendment, the hate groups have that same right within the First Amendment. But there's certain things that if they do happen, you know, can really affect them in a way that would that would hold them accountable. If we had just seen them changing their license plates and switching them out, that's a nefarious move, which is against the law. But they did do that when they came back. They switched things around. They took the tape off and everything. So we have it's our job to get all of the players involved and bring this thing to head that would give the community confidence that those that are elected in leadership positions have their back. And
I hope some of them really do show up, and I hope it's because you made the ask, Tom. Because I'm still waiting. I had a meeting today with an elected official, and we're still waiting for there to be any kind of an official, as you said in your press release, an official proclamation. As we're grieving the unfathomably tragic death of Tyree Nichols, as we stand in solidarity with Memphis and victims of police brutality everywhere. I'm holding out a prayer, but it's like you said at the beginning, we have to honor the inner humanity of our adversaries. But I don't always recognize anymore law enforcement as an ally to justice in this community or any community. So I applaud you for your confidence that people will take the high road if you give them that opportunity. But I'm very suspicious today of people in power, and I'm glad that NAACP is completely independent of that structure. You work with folks, you know, across the aisle, as they say. You have friends. You talk to people that would never even, they'd walk to the other side of the street to avoid talking to me. And I'm proud of you for doing that, Tom. It's a great service that you give all of us by willing to talk to all the different groups in Cookeville. But you're an independent voice. You are not you're not answering to anybody. You're not doing this for money or fame or glory. You really believe, as you and I have spoken so many times, in the vision of the beloved community that Martin spoke of. And I don't think we have a beloved community right now in America or in Cookeville. And I think your willingness to be so outspoken as you were in that press release just gives us all a chance to maybe exhale and say, okay, now's the time. I hope we have a great turnout today or Saturday. I hope that you're satisfied with the messages that are spoken that day. We're going to wrap up this little live stream. I want to thank again my guest is Tom Savage. I'm Andrew Smith, the teacher on the radio on 88.5 FM WTTU for over 15 years. And it's also being live streamed on the World Wide Web on YouTube and Facebook. So Tom, what do you leave for us? What would be your parting message for Cookeville? Maybe even people that get to watch this, but maybe can't be at the vigil Saturday, February 4th at 12 noon at the McClellan Church of Christ. What's your message for Cookeville and for Tennessee as we deal with such fraught times, as hate groups seem to be growing? As you said, the Proud Boys are a growing movement. That breaks my heart. They should be dying like a weed on the side of the road. Well, that's true. And you know what? It's the end of the world as we know it.
here even in Cookeville, because hate groups have never, in the time that I've been here, I know that there's covert action, and I know that there are people who are in the Klan and all these other organizations, but they have never ever been overt in this manner and showed their face and walked the streets. So that's the end of the world as we know it in Cookeville, because the past, you can put that era where we hadn't seen that in the past. Now that we know that we know that we know that they don't care to come here, it has happened. So that community virginity is gone. And so, but then again, as Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. But we have to address it, and we have to have hope in this, Andrew. And so, coalescing with other organizations, finding common ground with people for a common cause, and connecting with those that will pray a fervent prayer, a real prayer for that will not come back void, to bring about that real truth, uh, real stories. And I think that when sometimes you can give an example of an injustice to a person that wasn't there, and finally a real story that will move the hearts and the minds of men and women. And I think that some people in their heart of hearts may not be on board, but when you see an injustice and you know that this is an injustice, I would think that the Church of Christ denomination here in Cookeville would really cry out on behalf of McClellan Avenue Church of Christ to know that those folks had to go into lockdown because a hate group changed their license plates, even in their parking lot. I would think that the body of Christ would agree that what Dr. King said, that an injustice anywhere is a threat of justice everywhere, and that they would understand that the moral compass has been broken, and it's time to show up and show out for the sake of justice. And so I think justice demands satisfaction uh, over what has went down. And so we want to encourage people that we're going to use justice, because justice is blind. It didn't see them putting congregating in West End. All justice saw was them showing up in front of Ralph's Donut. Justice is blind. It didn't see them, the lockdown at the historical Black church and historical community. I think justice would have had an issue with that. So you have to show folk how this went down. And I think real stories move people. It kind of actually forces their hand to do right by people. So I am optimistic. That one reason I'm optimistic is I want to fight for our community, and I want to fight and don't give up, and to press on and to bear down, for justice in our community. And what went down on that day was wrong. Our people have to be vigilant, and when they see something, say something, and with a hope that those in law enforcement and leaders in our community will get our back.
I thank you, Tom, so much for being with me. And I've heard people saying, how can you live there? How can you live in Tennessee at all? How can you live in Cookeville? And it's because I have brothers, I have friends like Tom Savage and the Cookeville, Putnam County NAACP, and a lot of my other friends in the liberationist community, people who believe in freedom, true freedom, and they believe in the beloved community. Thank you, Tom, for being on Teacher on the Radio. We're going to end this live stream, but we hope to see everyone out today, or is that it will be Saturday at noon, and we will be in continued conversation and vigilant conversation about not leaving anyone to where they are marginalized any more than they already feel, that everyone is welcome. And we have to be the people that open our arms and our venues and our churches and our spaces, our different community spaces, so people are welcome. And you always are going to get a welcome at Teacher on the Radio. Thanks again to Tom Savage from the Cookeville, Putnam County NAACP.